Okay, imagine this for a second. Millions of years from now, some alien archaeologists are digging around and they unearth a relic. It's not a bone, it's not a piece of pottery, it's a perfectly preserved smartphone. They somehow get it powered on, and the first thing they find? Your 2024 Spotify playlist. So, what does that playlist actually tell them about us? Let's get into it, because that collection of songs is way more than just your favorite tunes. It's a time capsule of the human mind. I mean, really, could that playlist reveal how anxious or hopeful or totally in love our entire society was this year? Well, the short answer is yeah, it absolutely could. And the crazy part is, we don't have to wait for aliens to figure it out. Historians and psychologists are already learning how to dig up these digital fossils for clues about our collective mindset. So, the key to all of this is an idea we're going to call a cognitive fossil. Think of it like this: a dinosaur leaves behind fossilized bones, right? Well, a society leaves behind fossilized feelings that get trapped inside the things we make. A song, a meme, a movie plot, every single one is like a little snapshot of our collective psychology, frozen in time. To really see how this works, we need to do a little time traveling. It turns out some of the most powerful psychological hacks have been around for centuries, and they've left behind a trail of these fossils that, once you know what to look for, are surprisingly easy to read. Okay, check out one of the oldest tricks in the book. Scientists call it the baby schema. Basically, our brains are hardwired to see things with big eyes and a round head and just go, ah. It's an ancient instinct that makes us want to protect babies. Now look on the left. Renaissance painters in the 1500s used this cheat code to make their cherubs look super cute and innocent. Now look to the right. Fast forward 500 years, and what do we have? Baby Yoda, minions, emojis, all using the exact same hack. The fossil tells the same story. Cuteness sells. And you see this pattern in our stories too. Just follow the evolution of romance plots. Back in the 1820s, love at first sight was the big thing, which was, a pretty convenient way to feel good about marriages that were often just economic deals. A century later, right after World War I, stories were suddenly filled with tragic separations, which totally reflected a society dealing with a massive amount of grief. And today, the enemies to lovers slow burn is everywhere. It's a cognitive fossil that shows how much we now value relationships that feel both emotionally safe and exciting. So we've found these fossils in paintings and in stories. But now, let's get back to your playlist and see if we can decode the feelings that are buried deep inside the beat.
All right, it's time for a quick fossil challenge. I've got two huge hit songs. All you have to do is guess which one came out during a time of greater societal anxiety. You ready?
First up, we have the ultimate disco anthem, Staying Alive by the Bee Gees from 1978. You know that beat, that strut? And contender number 2 is Billie Eilish's global smash Bad Guy from 2019. Super dark, whispery, minimalist vibe. So what do you think? Which decade was more on edge? The 70s disco era or the late 2010s pop scene? The answer is it's a trick question. They are both fossils of intensely anxious times. So here's the deal. They both came from really anxious decades, but they dealt with that anxiety in completely different ways. In 1978, people were scared about a bad recession, and the musical response was pure escape, a driving 104 BPM dance beat to just forget all your problems. But in 2019, with the dread of the climate crisis hanging over everyone, the music didn't offer an escape. It mirrored the anxiety. It was this whispered, almost confrontational sound. It shows a huge shift in how we cope, from dancing our problems away to facing them head-on in the music itself. Two very different sounds, but one very powerful fossil of anxiety. This is so cool, right? And the best part is, you don't need a fancy lab or anything to do this kind of archaeology. You can find these cognitive fossils right on your own phone. Let me show you how. Here are 3 really quick ways to go fossil hunting on your phone. First, your music. Songs in major keys usually sound happier, while minor keys feel more introspective or sad. A big cultural shift toward one or the other can tell you a lot about a society's general mood. Second, look at your social media filters. A huge spike in those soft glow or baby face effects isn't just a random trend. It's a fossil that points to a collective need for comfort and innocence. And third, your camera roll. Get this, researchers found that during the big global lockdowns, the color tones in our photos got way warmer. We were all, without even realizing it, trying to make ourselves feel better, creating these tiny, pixelated fossils of comfort. Okay, but there's a huge warning that comes with all of this, a really crucial one. The fossil record is never the full story. It's always biased. You always have to ask who had the power and the money to make the stuff that survived, and whose story was considered important enough to preserve. For most of history, that means we have a lot of palaces, but not a lot of peasant songs. We have museum art, but not everyday crafts. We hear a lot from kings, not so much from everyone else. Even today, we have to wonder which of our digital fossils will actually survive, and whose stories are going to just disappear. So why does any of this actually matter? Well, because tracking these fossils isn't just about understanding the past. It's about getting a handle on the present, and maybe even getting a peek into the future. We usually think of history as being driven by big things like economics or wars, but collective psychology, the shared mind of a whole population, is just as powerful a force. A society-wide jump in curiosity can literally fuel something as huge as the Renaissance. And on the flip side, a massive drop in public trust, when it's mixed with fear, can lead directly to building walls, closing borders, and the kind of major political shifts we've seen all over the globe. And this brings us to the most powerful idea of all. If you can learn how to read these cognitive fossils, you're not just looking backwards, you're actually seeing the emotional fault lines of right now. You can start to spot the tremors of the next big cultural shift before it ever starts trending. So that leaves us with one last question to chew on. When those alien archaeologists finally get to your phone, your playlist, your camera roll, your memes, what cognitive fossil are you leaving behind for them? What is your life going to tell them about the mind of 2024?